welcome to Walk in the Park. My name is Tony Ingram, and this is episode 168, recorded on June 7th, 2017. You can see all of my episodes at my video blog at walkinthepark.tv, walkinthepark.tv. So lots to see there. So this time we're going to go to a place that's just a little bit out of the Finger Lakes, but geologically speaking, not really. We're going to go to a place called Labrador Hollow, and it's actually kind of a park. It's called the Department of Environmental Conservation Unique Area. We'll get into just what that means in a minute. So here's the location. Right in the middle of the picture there is of the map is a little pin that says Labrador Hollow, and that's just south of Syracuse, which is the developed area up to the upper part of the picture there. That's got Onondaga Lake in it. Here we'll zoom in a little bit more. Now this shows the roads and the city of Syracuse and the interstates. And Labrador Hollow is just east of the main sort of Tully Lakes Valley that goes north and south from Syracuse. Well, it goes south from Syracuse. Route 81, Interstate 81 goes through, and it shows Route 11 there, but that's also 81. So you see where the pin is there. Now, let's go back to this picture here. You see the Finger Lakes. Well, we'll go farther back here. You see the Finger Lakes are all the system of lakes that are in valleys that go pretty much north and south. Well, not all the valleys that run north and south in central New York have Finger Lakes in them. And in fact, these, of course, were all gouged out by the passage of the glaciers during the Ice Age. And some other valleys were gouged out that didn't have Finger Lakes in them, but nonetheless were reamed out and have very steep sides and flat bottoms, and occasionally have small lakes in them, like this valley here. So right in the middle there, right in the center, is a little pond called, well, it's not so little, it's a pond called Labrador Pond. And the valley that it's in is called Labrador Hollow, and that is a glacial valley that actually all of the Finger Lakes actually drain north to Lake Ontario, but this valley is the headwaters of the east branch of the Tyopneoga River, which eventually ends up in the Susquehanna River. So this one flows south. So this is the headwaters. So this whole area around it, at least the wooded area that you see, is state forest, and then the middle of it is the unique natural area, or unique area that the Department of Environmental Conservation created because, well, we'll get into that in a second here. Here's from their website, and there's information about pretty much the recreation information. And you can see there's a little map on the right there. That's actually a picture of Onondaga County. It's right on the southern edge of Onondaga County, where it actually the unique area, the Labrador Hollow Unique Area, straddles across the boundary of Onondaga County and Cortland County. So the villages of Tully, Truxton, Fabius, and so forth, towns are involved in the area. So right at the beginning of one of the trails in Labrador Hollow is an interpretive sign, and on one side of the sign it explains what Labrador Hollow is and why it exists. And I know you can't read that, so I'm going to actually read it off of a better place for me to look at it here. You know, just as an aside, I used to design exhibits, and putting light-colored type like that, white type, reversed out on a low-contrast background is not very readable. In any case, the area covers 1,474 acres. Glaciers carved out the area's unique topography with its 100-acre pond and north-south valley. The valley floor is only about 1/2 mile wide, and its walls rise abruptly several hundred feet, I think about 700 feet actually. These features provide more shade and cooler temperatures, which encourage a plant mix that includes species usually found in Adirondack mountain bogs. So the pond, the 100-acre pond, is actually similar to what you would find in the Adirondacks in terms of particularly the mixture of plant species. Now this is actually the layout here of the natural area. The dark green areas are state forest, on either side, so they connect up. And then the light green area is the natural area, which is over 1,400 acres, which is actually larger than the state parks we have around Ithaca, but not the state forests. And the trail system goes through there. And part of the trail system is a route for the North Country National Scenic Trail, which goes across the state, ends up in the Adirondacks, goes all the way out to, I think, North Dakota. So here's another picture of the land that is in the unique area, and a little bit more orientation. There's the pond. And down in the lower right, it says, well, maybe you can read it, Tinker Falls Trail. We'll go into that other mapping in here. There's parking along State Route 91, which goes north and south through the valley. And you can walk in. It's a short distance. It's maybe 200 yards, something like that. And it's level. It's an easy trail to walk on. So I really recommend you go visit this place, and that's what we're going to do right here. Along the road, along Route 91 through the park, is the parking for Tinker Falls. Tinker Falls. There's the parking. And then you can cross the street. They have a pedestrian crossway. And just to get to the other side, there's a trail that goes up to Scenic Overlook, 2 miles, it says, and Tinker Falls the other way. And it hooks up to the trail system. So I did meet a couple of young women who had just walked that 2 miles to the overlook, and they loved the overlook, but it was quite a hike. So let's see what we got here. So, oh yeah, just no bicycles. You want to keep the trail. Bicycles, mountain bikes, that sort of thing, do tear up hiking trails pretty bad. So there are trails in some of the forests, state forests, for bicycles, but not in the unique area. So here's the path that goes into Tinker Falls. At 2 or 3 places there are benches that you can sit and relax on your way and enjoy the woods. This is what the trail is like. Just a few years ago, this was made so that you could, I guess, I don't know if that's technically wheelchair accessible, but it certainly is leveled out. And then a little bit of a weathered sign here about asking for you to show good hiking stewardship and don't climb up on steep slopes and so forth, because it will damage the plant and animal communities and so forth. Finally, get up to the falls. It's not that far. And let's see what else we had coming up here. You get a little closer in. Now, the waterfall is overhanging, and it pours off a ledge of limestone. And below that, I guess, is mostly shale. But that's a formation which is familiar to people around Ithaca, if they're familiar with it. Well, they are familiar, because you know Teganic Falls State Park. You go up the gorge at Teganic Falls State Park, and there's this big layer of limestone. There's an interpretive sign there that explains its origin in an ancient sea, this limey rock, this sedimentary rock. But that layer of limestone is called the Tully Limestone, and notice that we are in the unique natural area. We're very near Tully, New York, and Tully Lakes. So it appears in various places across the state. It's a big layer of rock. It's not that thick, as you can see as it pours off the top of the cliff here. It's not that thick, but it's very extensive across central New York. So the Tully Limestone, along with a number of other limestone beds, particularly up around Syracuse, the Onondaga Formation, the Cherry Valley Formation, and a number of others. So they're all associated together with the history, the geologic history. So we're going to, let's see, go. The waterfall pours off the limestone ledge, the Tully Limestone, over an overhang, and then tumbles down through all these fallen rocks, which are mostly slabs of that Tully Limestone that's fallen. And the trail, which was so gentle before, this nice gentle trail, then becomes pretty challenging. So this has actually gone about halfway up to the falls, and look at those steep steps. And they're very steep. And young people can charge right up them. My balance is not as good as it was 40 years ago, so I have to take my time. Plus, I was carrying a camera equipment. So let's go. We're going to take a little video trip into Tinker Falls, 50-foot high Tinker Falls in the Labrador Hollow Unique Area. So we'll just get that up in a second here. Pretty cool, huh? Go check it out. Tinker Falls in Labrador Hollow Unique Area in just the northern edge of Cortland County, southern edge of Onondaga County, east of the Finger Lakes a little bit, off of Route 81 near Tully Lakes. So, okay, so now we're going to go take a, well, first of all, I should remind you this is Walk in the Park, walkinthepark.tv, because you just tuned in and you don't know what you're looking at. See all my shows at my website at walkinthepark.tv. Now, this is a public access television show on Channel 13 in Ithaca, New York, Pegasus Studios. Pegasus stands for Public Educational Government Access System. So a lot goes on here and a lot of different volunteer producers. So if you're interested in getting involved in producing TV, check out Pegasus. Check out Public Access in Ithaca, New York, and 272-7272. And you can go onto the website to look for Pegasus. I think it's pegasus.webstarts.com, something like that. I should put that up. Anyway, find out the next training. So let's go down back to Labrador Hollow Unique Area, and we're looking from the north. This is the same picture we saw before, looking to the north to the south. So Syracuse would be behind us, and excuse me, looking down towards Cortland. And we're going to go now to the pond, to Labrador Pond, which has got and now we're looking straight down. When we were at Tinker Falls on the lower right, we go up a mile or so up Route 91 and turn left on Labrador Road and go to a parking lot and the beginning of a boardwalk. So here's a sign at Labrador Road, Labrador Hollow Road. There it is, Labrador Crossroads. That's what it is, Labrador Crossroads. And you turn left on there. Actually, on the right is the highway. This is the road going across the valley. There's another road that goes down the west side of the pond to a fishing pier. And along the way, there's a excuse me, a Finger Lakes Trail access. I'm not exactly sure where this goes. There's a network of trails, but it's connected to the North Country National Scenic Trail, and then there's something called the Skyline Trail, which is up on the ridge that came up from Tinker Falls. The Skyline Trail and some other trails. Okay, so up at the top of the hill there, you might be able to make out a little notch in the trees, and that's a hang gliding spot. This is now a view from that notch. And let's see, I want to give a credit. This came from, actually taken off a YouTube video by Edmund Hessler, and I captured a frame from his YouTube video. But I don't have any videos or pictures of people actually hang gliding. I was looking for that, but I guess it's a very good spot, and people can hang in the air for quite some time when the wind is right, jumping off of this spot. So here's another picture. Excuse me. This is a platform from which people jump, I guess, obviously at a different time of year. So that's Jones Hill hang gliding spot, hang gliding location, which you can get up to. You have to walk up there on a trail, so it's not that easy to get to. Well, anyway, you can see the parking lot for Labrador Pond, and there is an interpretive signs there telling you all about the place, and then you go out on a boardwalk. So that's what we're going to do. We're doing another little video about a boardwalk. So let me just bring that up here. See if I can find that boardwalk. Yes, here we go. Find the Labrador Pond video. Jones Hill rises steeply, hundreds of feet above the floor of Labrador Hollow. The hang glider takeoff clearing is visible from below. A 2,000 feet long boardwalk leads through the wetland at the northern end of Labrador Pond. Pink azalea was abundantly in bloom on this early June day. Northern white cedar is more typically found in Adirondack wetlands. Labrador Pond is only 4 feet deep. Water lilies grow in the shallows. Pretty nice spot. Good time of year to go there too, because I don't know what it's like in July and August, but particularly July, when the mosquitoes start to breed out there. I would imagine there would be that challenge, but right now I don't have any problem with insects at all. So, well, let's get. We're going to go closer to home again. Let's. If you've been out on the trails, now that the gorges are open and all our trails are open in the local parks around Ithaca, you may have noticed some trail work going on. For instance, the next few pictures are taken by Elise Skalwald, who's a local photographer, and she was going on the trail that's, well, if you go down the South Rim Trail from Upper Treman, you go down the cliff staircase, they call it. See if I can get that. Let's see, where's the cliff staircase? There's the cliff staircase. You're going down. When you get down below that, there's a steep slope, and the trails continue, and there are people working on improving and fixing up the trails a little bit. So this is, it looks like Zach there, Zach Ballard maybe, who's in charge of the trail crew. Here's the trail crew working on putting in new steps on the lower part of the trail coming down from cliff staircase just down to the bottom of the gorge there. So that's kind of cool. Here's some more steps there, and then working on it. This is over at Buttermilk Falls State Park in what's called the Bear Trail. This was a section that was very rutted and rooty, coming down a steep hill farther along the trail there, which was always kind of difficult to negotiate. So they're putting in these steps, which I have a little video that'll explain what they're like. And then just below that, that's that section of trail coming down to the back there. So we're looking back at it again. They put in this little boardwalk over this traditionally wet area, damp area, which is responsible for the growth of skunk cabbage on the left. And then the end of it is this box that has stones in it. I guess they had to fix this box at the end of the trail to and then put stones in it so it would drain. So that would be the support at the end of the trail. And then looking back at it as it goes, well, actually this is another one. I'm sorry, this is another boardwalk they built in another section along the trail there. So we're going to take a little video, take a look at a little video that was made a month ago that explains how at least some of that work is done.
figure out. We have about 80 12-foot 6x6s that are cut over here. So that's all good. Maybe a few roots over here. Also, we got the saws.
Okay, I'm speaking with Zach, who is the Trails Coordinator for the Finger Lakes State Parks.
Correct.
You want to tell me what you do and what's going on here today?
Okay, so the bulk of what I do is repairing, maintaining, and constructing new trail and the existing trails throughout the region in the Finger Lakes. Primarily now I've been working at Buttermilk Falls State Park and Robert H. Treeman State Park. Pretty extensive trail systems that see a lot of use by the public, so we're trying to get the trails in a little bit better shape than what they have been for the past few years. So, mainly it's working on interior trails, doing some construction of steps, erosion control, regrading trail areas to make the walking surface a little bit more uniform, and removing a lot of water in a lot of wet areas so people can hopefully make it through the gorges with dry shoes.
Okay, well, tell me about the crew you've got here today. I see some white helmets. I don't think that's the UN.
No. So these folks are members of the Student Conservation Association's Excelsior Corps. The Excelsior Corps is a relatively new conservation corps that was started by Governor Cuomo last year. And they work throughout the state, mostly for OPRHB, so for state parks. They also work in partnership with the DEC, doing conservation stewardship work. So these guys are helping us build some timber box steps behind this cabin here. And they'll be coming back later in the summer in June, August, and I believe November, so into the fall, to do some more work on the trails with us. And so they'll have crews of generally 7 to 8 people staying for about 10 days.
Wow, so they're going to move around the parks and do different trails in different parks and so forth, yeah. Okay, so that'll give you a little insight into some of the work that is going on. It's a lot of work to get the parks open and get the trails open for this season. I've been told that one of the next projects they're working on is in Upper Buttermilk again. And you may know the Lake Treeman area. There's about a 1.5 mile trail that goes around a little lake there that's behind a dam that up from the upper picnic area. It's really not much of a lake anymore. It's mostly filled in since the 1930s when it was built. And it's now becoming a wetland, actually a cattail marsh. So there's a lot of wildlife up there. We used to have take groups up there to see the beaver colony. I'm not sure how active they are now. I need to go back and take a look. But so that's pretty much the end of our show today. I thank you all for joining us. And turn off this screen, whatever it is, TV, computer, iPad, whatever you got, turn it off and go outside. What the heck are you looking at this stuff for? Go out and see the real thing. Maybe you'll go up to Labrador Hollow and Tinker Falls. Okay, we'll wrap it up here with a final image.